Welcome back to the Imaginary Gallery. It's TJ, your host. Tonight is kind of a reflection upon the responses to the last video that I did called The Narcissist Has No Depth. Many of you out there have experienced this lack of depth with these creatures. I thought I'd go through some of the comments. SunnyGirl99 says, I remember my ex-narcopath didn't have any comment or ideas about anything. Just sit there in silence, even after we just got married. Sat there and said nothing. That to me sounds like it had some kind of goal to get married, act like it had some kind of legitimacy in this world so it could say, look at me, I'm married, see? But when they're with the spouse at home, they have nothing to say. The next one's from Aaron Lamel. You figured this stuff out pretty well. I was confused as fuck listening to these creatures. Kind of entertaining for a few seconds, and that's about it. It can be entertaining if you know that it's off. Sometimes, of course, if they're cute, we tend to overlook it, just thinking, oh, this is something we can overlook, which really it isn't. The same person said something about high-pitched squeaks, which I'm not quite sure what those squeaks would be. And then Aaron, same person. You tell it like it is. People can't handle the truth. The idea, though, is for them to hear the truth and then handle it, because if they're dealing with these types of creatures, it's doubtful if they're feeling pain from it, that they're going to defend the creature. Like if somebody tells them your partner's a cluster B monster, narcissist, or whatever it is, and that's why it's doing that, I would think that the person would want to listen to the truth and realize that they're dealing with a poisonous person. And I love your way of presenting them as from Pleasure Young, which I'm assuming is coming from the video itself, because I do typically switch filters on the camera and often make a distorted face to differentiate between when I'm speaking to you and there's a creature speaking. And another purpose of this channel is to allow you to laugh at these creatures, even though the situation they put you through isn't humorous in the least. Once you're away from it and you can actually take a look at it, you can actually see it for how sick it is. Because we don't usually think these things when we're involved with these creatures. We just think we found true love, and there are a few parts that are wrong about it, but we want to fix those and then think that it's all going to be okay. Unfortunately, with this breed of creature, it's never okay.
Sometimes it even seems that they're demonic creatures.
And the other way that I present these creatures is through the narcopath, because a lot of times I'll be talking about the different subjects that go on with these cluster B creatures, but at the same time, because I've experienced so many rotten encounters with a large number of these monsters, the narcopath character is kind of a way just to cathartically let it all out as far as seeing things from their point of view after watching enough of their antics and knowing what they're thinking, or at least the general idea of what they're thinking when they're behaving in such horrific ways. There's a glitter girl that says, thanks for another great video, TJ, always looking forward to them. I have a horrible experience with one of these lying creatures the other day. The lies they tell are insane, and yes, they are. It's almost as if, I don't know, they just tell these ridiculous lies. My guess is one thing that works in their favor, if one of these creatures lies to you about something and you just know it's a lie. If you go to a third party and say, this person just lied to me, they said this, a lot of times the third party will actually think that you're in the wrong and say something like,
well, maybe it's true, maybe they did mean this.
You're supposed to think that maybe you're mistaken. That's why I say it's not always a good idea to share your experience with a third party unless they're in on the whole thing, because if they're not, you're going to sound like a rambling lunatic that's too particular and that's just not satisfied and wants to find something wrong with anyone or everyone. That's not the case. And if the person you're talking to has never experienced such a thing, well, then they're not going to get it. Holographic Multiverse says that their main goal is a sugar mama. Well, what if you're a man? So they can lay about all day, take drugs, and enact their fake juvenile lives on social media. Brain damage seems rampant thanks to the chemical industry. Well, yes, that's true. Very true. For all of us, unfortunately. Glitter Girl says, yes, they're as hollow as they are empty. No emotion whatsoever. Mine would be watching TV with me, and I would catch him looking around the room. I carried on 99.9% of all the conversations. And that goes back to the other example I mentioned before, where they think that, well, they've gotten what they're after, they're settled in, they've got their trophy to show off to the world, that they're legitimate, and then when you're in privacy in your own home, they're stupid, retarded, empty. Jerry Paul says, always love your smoky makeup. Seems like punched by your abusive husband last night. So, bitch, I'm not sure what that means. Aaron Lamel again says, that's my mother. One word or two answers on text. Weird. My mother never says much, as if her memory isn't strong or something. I never figured out why she does that. Doesn't seem to say much. She loves small talk, superficial talk with other narcs / babies. As far as that one goes, I don't know if this mother has been this way the entire time, all of your life, or if she's simply done that recently. But it is strange when you get very simple, short, quick answers. No, like I say, no depth. No indication that there's anything below the surface. Like even if asking a simple question about something, you'd think that if the person had deep thoughts about whatever subject it may be, they would at least share them rather than just simple yes, no, okay answers. Another thing I thought I'd bring up, I don't know if it's anything or not, but I happen to have been in New York City in 2001 on the date of September 6th. Inside the actual World Trade Center towers. I had gone there for a tour and recall walking in the building with the creature and having my picture snapped like when you go on cruises where they snap your picture and then tell you can buy it somewhere else later. Later went to that counter and looked at the pictures and they weren't anything worth really wanting, so we just left them. Being there, going to the top level, seeing the food court area, donuts that were way overpriced. I recall having one picture left in my old-fashioned camera because this was before the days of cell phone cameras. And I took one picture from the very top. We even went out on the roof. Then I recall after this event, like a day or so later, going home and then being awakened by the creature and told a plane just ran into the World Trade Center. And I had first said, oh, no, it didn't. Come on. And then I looked at the television, which there's debate whether it's CGI planes, because the plane travels through the building, which is still framed like it's butter, and comes out the other end, which is not realistic. But at that point, I wasn't thinking such things. I was just thinking, oh my goodness, we were just there. This attack was meant for us. I also recall the creature in the stairwell using a payphone, calling its mama, talking about something. But it's just sickening when you look like at the Wikipedia description where they're still clinging to that official story, which is ridiculous. I happen to have paid attention to things as a result of that event. Before that event, I was a sheeple. I believed everything I'm told. I think that the government is looking out for us. They're there to help us. They would never lie to us. They would do their best to ensure everyone's safety and so on. But then after this September 11th event, which I found from looking online, a lot of people, this was a turning point for them. But after that event, realized that we're being lied to. We're lab rats. We think we know what's going on based on what our mainstream media tells us, and nothing could be further from the truth. And I'm not a Trump supporter, orange face, but I do find it funny when he talks about CNN being fake news. And it's not just CNN, but anyway, the point of this is that I was involved with the creature. At the same time, there was a local event which was put on by architects and engineers regarding 9/11. And because I was there on the 6th, just a few short days before the event, I was interested. At first, I thought, oh, it's a horrible thing. I talked to my mother about it, and she had said, oh, these people are terrible. They'll kill themselves just for their purposes. And I was thinking that way, but then later realized that that's probably not what happened. But here on Wikipedia page I'm looking at, it's clinging to that ridiculous story and that NIST crap, which is completely false. I happen to have been involved with the creature at the time, and I've uncovered maybe another situation that's common with these creatures. The presentation pointed out lots of inconsistencies, situations that didn't seem to be natural or organically happening. And I recall the creature that I went with didn't really say anything, didn't have any depth to offer as far as, oh wow, that one discussion they gave, that made sense as far as the fact that they hauled off all the evidence immediately, which you would never do at a crime scene. Nothing like that. It was just,
Oh no, I think the official story's true.
I'm wondering if maybe these creatures, because they're so deceptive in nature, maybe they don't buy into any other option other than the official story when cases like this come up. Because I would be looking for a back and forth discussion as far as at least considering the information they were providing, and none of that existed. It was just a silent face and just basically there because I wanted to be there. I'd try to engage in conversation like, yeah, that is true about this and that, and just give details. There was no substance given in return. It's almost as if these creatures think,
I am the great deceiver of this world. There's no conspiracy involved in such events. They're exactly as the news tells them.
Assuming that's what these types of creatures think, almost as if they're so bogged down in their own deception to everybody else, when there's like a major worldwide deception being perpetrated among all of us, they don't see it. Like they're blind to it. Maybe their brain doesn't have room for it because they're too busy plotting their next scam. Back to the comments, though, these lying creatures that were mentioned, they don't have the usual boundary lines that we do. For example, we may come up with an idea to lie to someone to get out of an uncomfortable situation. So we may think, oh, she'll never suspect it's a lie. I'll just tell her this. It was her night on stage to perform. She invited us and we couldn't make it. We'll just tell her we couldn't find the venue. That'll work. She'll never question that. Then we do it, and then she happens to know that we've frequented that venue several occasions, and that's a lie. Well, these creatures will tell lies like that with distinct confidence. They'll tell it even though it could easily be torn apart by, for example, this example that they've been there before, yet they're claiming they haven't. But it's amazing how when you say such a thing to them, like, don't tell me you didn't come to that performance because you don't know where it is. I happen to know you've been to that place several times. Even when you confront these creatures, they'll still stick to their sickening story of,
Oh, no, I really didn't know where it was. Oh, well, maybe it was somewhere else before. I'd forgotten.
whatever they say, but the point of it is, you know that if you've been to a venue before, then you know where it is. And you're just thinking, why didn't you just say that you didn't want to go? But these creatures are risk takers. They love to take those risks. In fact, in cases I've seen, it's sickening. I think, why would anyone do that? But they will do things like show up with you in public, tell you that you're the one for them only, and then they'll excuse themselves, talk to a stranger you've never seen, and then come back to you, and you'll say, well, what was that stranger about? And they'll give you some line.
Oh, that stranger was trying to fix me up with their friend. I told them, no, I'm happy with you.
And then you later find out from this third party that the creature you were with actually was soliciting a date and saying things like,
Oh, that person there I'm with, oh, that's just a friend, but he's real possessive. Here's my phone number.
trying to fix themselves up, and then coming back to you saying,
Oh, that person's trying to fix me up with someone, and I said I didn't want it.
they do this crap, which is risk-taking. Because a regular person would never do that. They know that their chances of being found out would be very strong. And if they are found out, what are you going to say to that? And that's what most of us learn when we're growing up. Because maybe when we're younger, we think, oh, I can get away with this lie. And then we're forced to face the facts and then have to explain. And that teaches us. But these creatures do not respond to such lessons because they are screwed up and fake.
I am the sexiest, hottest narcopath of your life.
As you already know, I'm here to give you some more confessions. Imagine that. There's been a lot of talk. I've been reading the comments that you all leave on TJ's videos, talking about how you deal with all kinds of liars. Well, honey, I'm the best liar there is. TJ wanted me to tell you about why I lie and so on. Well, honey, I don't see any obligation to tell the truth, unless it's going to get me what I want. For example, your cousin was staying with you. I happened to come by and visit and meet him. You had to be called away to work one night. I was left with your cousin, cute by the way, and you had to rush off to work and were so stuck on taking me home, and I told you no, I'd be fine. I wanted to talk to the cousin. You were worried that I was going to do something with him because he's cute. Well, honey, I did. I did it all. I spread my thighs. He was in there deep diving.
And we made a pact not to tell you. So I'm sorry if this hurts you now hearing this.
It's important you know, because I'm giving confessions. Aren't I, TJ? TJ?
Yeah, whatever you say.
Yeah. yes, I'm doing the right thing. The next morning, you called me and asked me what happened the night before. I told you that I listened to your cousin for about 5 more minutes and got bored and then went home. Considering what I did, do you think I would have told you that we made love on your bed? Do you really think I would say that to you? In your house? Well, no, honey. That's one of the reasons I lie. Never mind deciding not to do such a thing that would be so forbidden. I saw it as an opportunity because you were gone. Who cares what brought you away? The point was, I was left alone with a hot, hungry stud, and I took full advantage of it. None of your goddamn business! Now, of course, you thought since we were lovers I had no business even looking at anyone else, which I always told you I never did look at anyone else. Well, honey, that's part of my cover story. It allows me to do the things I want to do. Fact is, I wanted to be with your cousin. He was hotter than you, and he made more money than you, because when he went to the bathroom, I looked in his billfold, and I found his bank information. Oh my God, you are poor! I'd be better off with him. Too bad he's married. But his wife's a transgender, he doesn't know it yet. Regardless, I'm not gonna tell you the truth if it's gonna hurt my agenda. There are things I have to have, and I'm not gonna ruin my business by telling you things you don't need to know. So, luckily, after we broke up, I kept in contact with your cousin. In fact, I'm expecting it's his. How are you gonna love that baby? Are you gonna tell it you love it and kiss it? It could have been yours. Well, honey, you blew it. Your cousin was more interesting than you. Your own fault.
I am so hard. So hard. You did all night. Forget my life. Yeah, they really want you. They really want you. They really do. Yeah, they really want you. They really want you. I do too. I want to be the girl with the most cake. Don't think those things because he loves to see them break. Baby, you don't feel like I'm beyond space. Someday you will look like I ate. 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 Someday you will look like I ate.